In a chamber built for ordinary tests, a single mistake tore the air open and summoned not a harmless sprite, but an ancient dragon with eyes of molten gold. Yet instead of fire, it offered trust. This was the moment when fear turned into wonder, and a quiet student's life changed forever. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and tell us in the comments where are you watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. The crystal hall sang like a glass bowl touched by a careful finger. 20 students waited inside silver rings, each bright with old runes. The Royal Lyceum of Luminous Arts had seen many tests, but today felt different. A quiet test of control, a simple call to small spirits. But simple is not the same as safe. Lina Rojas stood in the center ring. Her robe hung straight, her staff felt warm, and her breath tried to be steady. She listened more than she spoke. Magic liked listeners. Master Marin paced with sharp eyes. He had taught summoning for years and believed in rules the way builders believe in foundations. Lesser woodland spirits only, he reminded them. Today we judge balance, not muscle. One by one, students went first. Glittering moths came and vanished. A mouse bowed, a bird whistled and dissolved like mist. This is an inspiring story in a fantasy academy, the voiceover notes, where courage is about to be tested. Then the proctor called Lina's name. The hall quieted like a forest before weather changes. She planted her staff and spoke the chant. Right away, the air leaned toward her, as if it knew her voice. The runes brightened. A low heat crept into the floor, the kind that says, "Do not step back, just breathe." Master Marin lifted his hand to pause, but the spell found a door of its own. The chant shaped itself deeper in Lina's mouth. Not louder, only older, as if it had remembered a hidden key. Students drew back. The hum of the hall rose. A crack appeared above the circle. A thin thread across nothing, then widened. Beyond the crack waited a golden noon and floating peaks. The test is going wrong, and also going right, though no one knows that yet. A claw pushed through, dark as wet stone. Another followed, then a long neck, then a head the size of a carriage. Scales shone like deep green glass. The body slid from the rift and landed without a roar, but with a weight that shook dust from beams. Fear darted through the class. Several students pressed to the wall. Shields flared and flickered. Master Marin drew power to his palm. The dragon did not strike. He looked down at the girl in the ring. His eyes were gold and steady. Lina lowered her staff. Her hand lifted, palm open. The dragon bent with careful patience and rested his brow against her hand. Warmth flooded her skin, not burning, more like standing near an oven while bread is baking. A thought pressed gently into her mind. Not a word, a shape behind a point. "Welcome! Recognition! By the old stars," Master Marin whispered. Lina found a voice quiet enough for this moment. "Hello," she said. "I think you know me." The thought answered with a steady thunder that made no sound. "I am called Kalor. I crossed because your call matched mine. You did not force me. You found me." Fear loosened, thread by thread. Priya Dal, Lina's friend, edged closer, eyes bright with wonder. "He's beautiful," she breathed. Rowan Hale stayed under a pillar, torn between awe and worry. Kalor curled his long body as if the ring were a nest he did not wish to break. He tucked claws, drew in his tail, and kept his movements slow enough for the heart to follow. The heat faded to a warm hush. The walls shifted to a gentler chord, the kind played when a door opens to friends. "Can you hear me?" Lina asked in thought. "Yes," he answered. "And you can hear me." 2 doors, 1 threshold, for listeners seeking inspiring fantasy. This is a dragon encounter told in clear English, a human and dragon bond, and a lesson on courage over fear, written for voiceover. The lens pulls close again. The council will soon have questions. But in this first bright silence, a girl and a dragon stand inside a circle and teach a room an older song. The test was meant to measure balance, not muscle. Perhaps balance sometimes means holding steady while the impossible becomes true. This moment is the true beginning. For both 3 weeks after the summoning, the academy no longer felt the same. Whispers filled every hallway, from the dining halls to the quiet libraries. Students spoke in hushed voices about Lina Rojas, the quiet girl who had brought forth not a sprite or a rabbit, but a dragon from another world. Teachers spoke in meetings behind closed doors, debating whether this bond was danger or destiny. The entire Royal Lyceum of Luminous Arts lived in a tension of awe and worry. The dragon, Kalor, was not hidden away in chains or wards. Instead, he was placed in the old sanctuary, a wide stone garden built long ago, when dragons and humans still shared the same world. For years, the garden had been silent, its paths overgrown and its fountains dry. Now it thrummed with life again. The dragon's emerald scales caught the morning light like jewels, and his golden eyes followed every sound with a calm that unsettled and comforted all at once. Lina walked the garden paths each morning, a satchel of notes at her side, her staff always close. She came not as a jailer, but as a friend. Her closest companion, Priya Dal, often joined her. Priya's voice carried easily, full of questions and theories, as she scribbled ideas in the margins of her notebooks. "The rift did not open by accident," she said one morning. "I think you and Kalor share something older than training. Something older than our school itself." Kalor's mind voice touched them both. Gentle as a steady breeze. Older than schools, yes. Some bonds do not start in lessons. They start in silence and memory. Lina did not answer right away. She felt the words move inside her like water carving stone. Every day, their link grew stronger. Feelings passed between them with a clarity that words rarely carried. When Lina felt doubt, Kalor soothed it with patience. When Kalor felt the weight of being the last of his kind, Lina answered with quiet courage. But not everyone celebrated this new connection. The Council of Mages met often, their robes bright in the torchlight of the upper halls. Some argued that Kalor should be sent back through the rift before more creatures tried to follow. Others claimed he should be studied as if he were a rare artifact. Even Master Marin, who had shown respect from the start, urged caution. "A bond of this scale can shift more than one life," he warned. "It can shift kingdoms." Rowan Hale appeared one afternoon at the sanctuary gate with a stack of scrolls. His smile was practiced, polite, but his eyes were sharp with restless ambition. "I'd have access to family records," he told Lina. "Ancient accounts of human and dragon ties. I would like to assist in understanding your situation." Lina accepted the scrolls with gratitude. Priya, watching from the side, narrowed her eyes. He trusted knowledge, but not always the hands that delivered it. Rowan lingered, speaking softly about council debates. "They will not all see this as a gift," he said. "They may decide separation is the only answer. You should be careful." Kalor's golden eyes fixed on him. The dragon said nothing aloud, but a low hum echoed in Lina's chest, a warning hidden in calm. When Rowan left, the air felt lighter, though his words remained. That evening, the sanctuary grew quiet. Lamps glowed along the ivy walls. And the fountain ran again, for the first time in decades. Lina sat against Kalor's side, her notes forgotten in her lap. "If they send you back," she whispered, "what happens to me then? What happens to us? Kalor did not answer with comfort alone. Instead, his body shimmered as though touched by heat. Light ran across his scales, wings folded inward. His massive frame began to shift and reshape. Before Lena could step back, the dragon form melted away. In its place stood a man with dark bronze skin, tall and lean, eyes still molten gold. "How is this possible?" Lena whispered, heart racing. "It is old magic," he said, voice deep and steady, the same voice she knew in her mind. "My line once walked among your kind. When fear grew too loud, we set this gift aside. But you deserve truth, not half a story." His hand lifted slowly, pausing for her choice. Lena's breath caught, but she did not step away. She placed her palm against his chest, feeling a human heartbeat echo the rhythm she already knew. "My human name is Calden," he said softly. "You may call me that if it eases others. But know this, Lena. Dragon or man, my bond with you does not change." The sanctuary held its breath. The bond that had begun with a mistake now revealed itself as something far greater. Lena did not know what the council would decide. She did not know if Rowan's warnings would prove true. But here, in this garden of stone and ivy, she understood one thing clearly. The bond was real, and it would not be broken by fear. This chapter of whispers, worry, and a secret in the sanctuary speaks of courage, friendship, and the discovery of a truth hidden for centuries. It reminds us that even in times of doubt, connection can be stronger than fear, and secrets can reshape destiny. This inspiring story sets the stage for trials to come, where a girl and a dragon, or perhaps a girl and a man, must stand together against the world. The Great Hall of the Royal Lyceum was built to impress and to intimidate. Crystal towers hung from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls, casting bright light over the black stone floor. The air was heavy with silence as the Council of Mages gathered to judge Lena Rojas and the ancient dragon who now stood in human form beside her. Whispers had carried their story far beyond the academy walls, and now the decision of this council would shape the future. Lena kept her hands clasped, her heart steady only because Calden, the man Kalor became, stood close enough for her to feel his quiet strength. His golden eyes did not waver, though every gaze in the chamber pressed on him like a blade. Head Sage Osric sat at the center of the council table, his silver beard glowing in the light of the floating crystals. His voice was steady and sharp. "Lena Rojas, you stand accused of forging a bond that threatens the order of our world. Calden, Dragon of Flame, you are called here to answer whether your presence endangers our people." Elder Corda leaned forward, her face narrow and severe. "Child, how can you be sure your feelings are your own? Dragons are masters of mental craft. Perhaps you have been guided, not loved." Lena's voice did not shake. "I know because my heart was mine before his voice ever touched it. I felt it in silence. I feel it still when no words are spoken." Bowen, a strong elder with a staff of ironwood, struck the floor. "You wear a human face, dragon. How can we trust one who shifts shape so easily? Deception is written in every scale you hide." Calden lifted his head calmly. "This shape is no disguise. It is part of who I am. My ancestors once walked with your kind, side by side. Fear ended that truth, but fear cannot erase it. I stand here as myself, dragon and man alike." Master Marin rose from his seat, with scrolls and cracked books under his arm. His voice carried the weight of old patience. "I have searched the hidden records since the day of the summoning. Our libraries speak of a time when human and dragon partnerships were celebrated. Cities thrived on shared magic. Storms were calmed, bridges raised, and peace held longer than in any other age. If history forgot this, it was because fear told the story, not truth." The chamber stirred. Some nodded, Others frowned, but all listened. Even Osric's stern gaze softened with thought. Rowan Hale sat with the junior mages, his expression carefully guarded. His report to the council had painted Lena as reckless, Calden as dangerous, their bond as unnatural. Yet even as he sat, he felt a crack in the certainty he had carried. Before the council could speak again, a sound like rushing wind pressed against the tall windows. Light shifted, and outside the hall, 3 massive forms lowered from the clouds. One gleamed silver, one gold, one deep blue. Ancient dragons, older than any living mage, stood outside the walls. Their great eyes fixed on the council. Gasps filled the hall. Guards raised staves, but Osric lifted a hand. "Hold! Let us hear." The silver dragon's voice rolled like a mountain river. We felt the bond from far across the realms. It called us here. This is no trick. It is a truth older than your laws. The gold dragon bent her head toward Lena. Child, you summoned not with force, but with harmony. You carry the echo of what once was. The blue dragon's voice was soft and heavy with age. Darkness stirs in the void. It feeds on fear, on division. Your bond is not danger. It is a shield waiting to be lifted. Rowan stood, his face pale. Convenient that you arrive at the very moment of judgment. Perhaps this too is a deception. The blue dragon turned his gaze on him, not unkind, but firm. Doubt is healthy, but it can grow into chains. Ask instead what truth you fear. Before anyone could answer, the dark shapes coiled in the clouds, forms that bent the eye and spread chill into the room. The crystal windows shivered with cracks as cold wind rushed through. Calden's body shifted in a shimmer of light, dragon once more, scales glowing emerald fire. Lena stepped forward, her hand reaching for him. Her palm met his claw, and the link between them flared like a star. Together, she whispered. Together, he answered, the word like thunder wrapped in trust. Their bond filled the hall, not with fire or steel, but with light that reached every corner. Fear gave way to silence, and silence gave way to awe. The council, the students, even the ancient dragons outside knew they were witnessing the rebirth of something long forgotten. In this chamber of judgment, the past met the present. An older truth had risen, and with it, the first step toward a future neither human nor dragon could make alone. What came next would test them all, but in that moment, no one could deny it. The bond was real, and it was stronger than fear. The first strike from the sky did not sound like thunder. It sounded like silence folding in on itself. The windows of the great hall cracked as shadows pressed against the wards of the academy. The mages of the council rose quickly, their staves glowing with hurried spells. But every eye soon turned to the center of the chamber, where Lena Rojas and Calden stood, hand in claw. Calden's dragon form shimmered with emerald fire, his wings unfolding like living shields. Lena's breath steadied as she reached for him, her palm warm against his scales. The bond between them glowed bright, a thread of light pulling outward into the stone floor and across the walls. It was more than magic. It was trust given shape. Head Sage Osric called to his council. Hold the wards, hold them steady. The chamber shook as dark forms coiled in the clouds outside. Creatures of the void scraped against the barrier, feeding on fear. Every strike dimmed the defenses, yet where Lena and Calden stood, the air grew brighter, as if light itself had decided to fight. Their voices joined. Lena whispered, "We can do this." Calden answered, "Yes, together." Their bond deepened, and their shared strength rose higher than any spell in the council's books. wings of light unfolded behind Lena. They were not feathers or scales, but strands of pure starlight, each glowing with quiet power. She lifted into the air without effort, carried by the strength of the bond. Calden's scales shone brighter, each one a mirror of dawn. He rose beside her, their forms circling in harmony. The blue elder dragon outside spoke with awe. The seam has become a shield. The old bond is reborn. The void creatures struck harder, but where they touched the dome of light, they recoiled. The shield was not built from force alone. It carried love, courage, and a memory of harmony that had not lived in centuries. The darkness found no weakness there. Students watched with wide eyes. Priya Dal, her hands clutched to her chest, laughed through her tears. "She is doing it," she whispered. "Our Lena is becoming what she was meant to be." Rowan Hale stood near the back, the weight of his envy breaking at last. His voice, quiet but true, slipped into the chamber. "I only feared being ordinary. But this is extraordinary." Above, the final shadow hurled itself against the shield. The hall shook. The ground cracked. But Lena and Calden rose higher, their light blinding to the eye. Together, they shouted a single word that was both vow and command. "Enough!" The shield burst outward, sweeping across the academy and the skies beyond. The shadows shrieked and dissolved, fleeing into the void from which they came. The breach in the sky narrowed, from wound to scar to a faint line that healed under the glow. The storm broke apart. Stars shone again. Silence followed, heavy and holy. Then, the hall filled with sound. Applause began. Some laughed, others wept. Even the council lowered their heads in respect. Lena descended first, her starlight wings folding until they sank into her skin like a memory that would never leave. Calden followed, settling on the floor, his emerald body still glowing with quiet fire. Their hands met once more, no longer trembling, no longer afraid. Elder Corda's stern voice softened. "Perhaps our laws were built to protect, but today we saw proof they may also imprison what should be free." Head Sage Osric spoke with care. "If you both agree, let us begin a new teaching, not of walls, but of weaving. Humans and dragons learning side by side. A bridge for tomorrow." Calden lowered his head in a bow. "We agree. Let us remember the truth we almost lost." Priya hurried to Lena's side, her grin wide despite the tears still on her face. "First lesson," she said, "radical courage. Second lesson, honeycakes." Laughter rippled through the light after storm. Rowan stepped forward, shame heavy, but honesty clear. "I am sorry. I will help build what I once tried to break." Lena touched his arm, "Then start by building with kindness." That night, a thin bridge of light appeared over the academy garden. It glowed whenever courage rose higher than fear. Children ran across it laughing, while dragons watched from the edges with gentle pride. Lena and Calden stood together on the bridge, watching the stars reflect in the river below. "What are we now?" she asked softly. "Partners," Calden said. "Teachers, dreamers, and keepers of a bond that chose to live again." They did not speak of crowns or forever promises. They chose something deeper. They chose to carry light stitched from two hearts, a light strong enough to change not just a school, but the story of their world.